Hello beautiful souls, I am so glad you are here joining me today. Today we are talking about herbs. If you have been around my channel or my Instagram for a while, you have probably heard me mention herbs. I use the Herb Crafter's Tarot in some of my videos. I've shown my herb journal and I've just talked about herbs before. So today I wanted to share some resources with you. This is going to be a part of an ongoing series. I'm going to be talking about books in general, herbalism books. I'm going to talk about witchcraft and magic books, spiritual books. So if you like that kind of content, make sure you hit the subscribe button. But today we're talking about herbs, and this will probably be the first in many books about herbs. So I have a pile here of I have a pile of 10 books in front of me to share with you today, and I will leave the timestamps to the different books down in the description in case you want to jump around. And all of these books will also be linked on my website. I will try to link them either to Amazon or Book Depot or Book Outlet, whatever it's called, just so that you can hopefully find them for yourself. So the first two books I have are very similar. This first one is by Partners Publishing and it's called Plants of the Rocky Mountains. I live in the Rocky Mountains, so it's applicable to where I am. But they have all sorts of different books like this. You know, they'll have ones for the Appalachians, they'll have one for the prairies. They probably even have ones for Europe or different countries. This specifically talks about from British Columbia to New Mexico, and I really like this book because it is really helpful at identifying herbs and plants. Now there is more than just herbs, this is plants, so this I've got trees, shrubs, wildflowers, like there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, even aquatic plants and grasses. There is a lot in here, and I think part of a good herbal knowledge is being able to identify plants, because, well, some plants can look very similar and have very different effects on your body or in your magical workings. Like take Queen Anne's lace, for instance. It's a part of the carrot family, but so is poison hemlock. And they look very similar, and if you don't know the differences and you don't know what you're looking for, you could really hurt yourself. Same goes with mushrooms too. If you're getting into using mushrooms, I actually didn't bring my mushroom field guide book out, but same thing. Make sure you know what you're picking if you're wildcrafting, if you're going out and foraging for yourself. So because I live in the Rocky Mountains, this is one that's really good for me. And I like this because, you know, it's got some general information, but then it also has very specific information about the leaves, about the flowers, about the fruits, the environment that it's found in, and then a little bit more information and notes on the plants. And so that's really helpful and then like for the trees, it's got cones instead of berries. And it also talks about the bark of trees, because sometimes the leaves look very similar, but you can tell the difference because of the bark. And it just has little things, like even differentiating the species of pine trees. Like a white pine has 5 needles in a bunch versus 3. So little things that can be really helpful when you are either out foraging or wildcrafting, or even just to learn more about the plants that you are using. So this is just general plants, but then I have this one, which is edible and medicinal plants of the Rockies, a little bit smaller. This one is by Lone Pine, but very similar. It has, so this page I opened up to blueberries, which is interesting because that's actually what I was showing or looking at as a reference in the last one. Was the dwarf blueberries actually. So it has blueberries, how you can use it for food, how you can use it for medicine. It's got other uses, and then it's got a description of the bush, and it also has a warning. Like here it says, blueberry leaves contain moderately high concentrations of tannins, so they should not be used for continual and extended periods of time. There's all sorts of herbs in here, so here we have like the common sunflower, we have cow parsnip, which is a part of the carrot family, and water parsnip. Actually, let's go this way. And then we have angelicas, which is still, all of these are part of the carrot family. Cannabis lovage, desert parsleys. And then we've got things like plantain, which is one of my favorite herbs to use, at least recently, because there's been a lot of mosquitoes out, and plantain is great for bug bites. The next book I have is more of a fun book. It's kind of more story based. But this book is called Wicked Plants and the Weed That Killed Lincoln's Mother and Other Botanical Atrocities by Amy Stewart. And I love this book. When did this book come out? This came out in 2009, and I think I've had it since. My mom actually left a note in this for me. She read it August 13th and 14th of 2009. So I like when I lend out books, especially books that I know I'm going to keep in my collection. I love when people can leave little notes about what they liked about it. So I like this, the contents say, consider yourself warned, and they talk about, a whole bunch of different things, like castor bean, and deadly nightshade, and henbane. What else do they talk about? I know they talk about marijuana, oleander, opium poppies, water hemlock. So 193 is water hemlock. Let's go look at the water hemlock. Okay, so here we have the water hemlock, and it is deadly. Now these do just have botanical illustrations, so it's definitely not something that is the best way to identify it, but this is one of those things that can be mistaken for things like Queen Anne's lace. Common names are cowbane, wild carrot, snakeweed, poison parsnip, false parsley, child's bane, death of man. And so this is actually a very interesting book. So you meet the relatives. Poison hemlock, which killed Socrates, is one relative. Others include parsley, carrots, parsnips, and dill. So, common food items that we all know and love are related to something that can kill you. So this is actually why learning about herbs before you begin using them in any way, whether magical or medicinal, or even just for your food, is very good. And I really like how this book is put together. So the next book I have is the Herbalist Bible, John Parkinson's Lost Classic Rediscover. This is a selection of commentary by Julie Breton Seal and Matthew Seal. So this is based on the work of John Parkinson. It was the early 1600s, 1630 I want to say he published his book. Okay, but anyways, it was kind of one of the first major herbal books. And so what they've done is they've taken the manuscript and then compared it to images that we would recognize today. And it's got all sorts of information about all these different herbs. So here's one that, again, I really enjoy. It's Burdock. Burdock is one of those herbs that at first glance to the unknown eye seems like such a pest. We had one in our rental unit, and it grew so fast, so big, and it has these burrs on it, which was just getting all over my dog. And then I discovered what it was and the uses for it, and it totally changed my opinion on the plant. But again, we have the information from the Theatrum Botanicum, and then the kind of modern adaptation of that information. So it talks about the roots, the leaves, the seeds, talks about how you can use it for urinary problems, burns, cancer, hair issues. And it's got a whole bunch of information. The one downside to this book is that it doesn't have much in terms of identification for the plants. Lots of information about the plants, but not so much in terms of identification, which is why I prefer the first two books that I showed you. But I mean, there are so many books, or so many herbs in here. That last one I just saw was yarrow, another one of my local favorites. So this is a great book. Does it say how many herbs there are in here? No. But this is more for medicinal uses than magical uses. Actually, all of my books today are more medicinal than magical. I put others aside to do a separate video, which will be more magical herb usage. So if you want to see that, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. The next book I have is Recipes from the Herbalist Kitchen. Delicious, nourishing food for lifelong health and well-being. So don't underestimate the value of books that focus in the kitchen. A lot of people are probably familiar with the term kitchen witch, and you know, that's for a reason. Witchcraft doesn't have to be making spell jars or potions or chanting. It can be making a loaf of bread and being mindful of your intention while you're making it and putting certain herbs in that correspond with your intention. And now this book doesn't really talk about the magical side, but it talks a lot about, well, the whole thing is about using herbs in your cooking. And so like this is for a cilantro pesto, which seems really simple. And so things like this are great for those in the broom closet kind of witches, when you want to learn how to incorporate more herbs in a kind of sneaky way. Get a book that focuses on using them in your kitchen. On the same kind of topic, I also have 101 Easy Products for Skin, Health, and Home. This is by Jan Berry, and this has some amazing self-care items. So like this is a peppermint pine headache salve. This is actually one that I want to make. I am going to be collecting some pine needles, some white pine needles, on my next adventure into the woods in order to make that. But they've got all sorts of things like honey and chamomile cream. It's got DIY lip care, even soap making, how to do hot process and cold process soap. Now, if you are new to soap making, I wouldn't start by putting herbs in it. I would make a very basic batch of soap first and understand how to do it. Now, I don't want to seem like I'm gatekeeping, but cold process soap can hurt you if you don't do so carefully, because it does use lye. So just be careful. It's got this bug bite powder, which uses dried calendula flowers and kale and clay. Dandelion magnesium lotion, lemon balm furniture polish, rose window cleaner. So again, another way to incorporate some witchy goodness into everyday life without making it obvious. Okay? And now the next books that I have, these are more around health. And I saved them to the end because I hope by now you understand that herbs are medicine and that herbs can hurt you if you're not careful. So I have Healing Herbs for Women, a guide to natural remedies. And this has a whole bunch of information on supplementation. It's got, you know, herbs for, I'm apparently in a section about STIs because we've got genital disorders, fertility. It's got, it's just got a lot of very useful information and a lot of recipes, like I just saw, digestive aids, and in the back we have a bunch of, you know, as you go older, so if you're getting into your crone phase, you may, you know, you may need some help with your hormones. So this has like a menopause tonic, has adrenal support tincture, root tea, things for hot flashes, for dry eyes and mouth, for insomnia, aging gracefully, cataract eye wash. Like there's so many things in here, and she does really talk about how to use herbs safely. So this might be a good book if you are a woman. Now, there are other books specifically for men. There are books for children or using them as a family. So make sure you get something that is applicable to you. I also have the Essential Guide to Home Herbal Remedies, which has over 125 different recipes. And I really like how this one is laid out. Very easy to follow instructions, images, pictures. Yeah, so a skin toning oil. We've got even a love liqueur, which says the components of this miracle liqueur act as a natural aphrodisiac. That is, they increase the blood supply to the male sex organs. The perfume of spices in the liqueur alone will transport you to the realm of the senses, awakening your desire for love much better than any boring old blue pill. So it's interesting because this is not a witchy book by any means, but kind of sounds like a love potion to me, right? So don't underestimate the value of books like this. And I actually prefer books written by people who practice herbal medicine, people who practice homeopathics, because again, they're medicines. Sometimes you get these books which are focused purely on witchcraft, written by witches, for witches, and they don't always have the knowledge to back up what they're promoting in their books. So I much prefer to get books dedicated to the topic that I'm interested in. So again, we have the Herbal Apothecary. This one is just a visually stunning book. This is 100 medicinal herbs and how to use them. But like, look at the pictures. Like, these are just lavender flowers and it's so beautiful. Like, this is a very close-up of thyme leaves, and I just think that is so beautiful. How to dry herbs, and it's got some very nice pictures about the herbs. It's got, so this is crane's bill, and it's got like organs that can be affected. It's got medicinal uses, identification, and cultivation. And so like here we have echinacea. And it has, you know, things for purifying the blood, reducing infection, stimulating digestion, stimulates the immune system, increasing white blood cells. And then it also has contradictions. So it says for this, if you are suffering from leukemia, you should not use echinacea. And actually all of them have it. So this Culver's root says, generally regarded as safe, but be aware that it is a purgative, best taken in small, frequent doses. So again, herbs can hurt you. So find books that you feel comfortable with the information given. And you might even want to go back to like the first books and find things that are specific for your area, because some of these things, you know, like I know I can find plantain. I can go out my door and I can find plantain. But some of these things, like self-heal, I don't know what that is. I don't know how to identify it. And if I bought some online from someone who may not be a reputable source, because again, you need to do your research, I might not receive this. And so I need to know my own personal comfort, especially if I'm ingesting it, or even like cleansing with it, like lighting it on fire. Then you breathe in that smoke, right? So I want to know that it is what it says it is. So identification is such an important part of using herbs. So one book is not always the answer. And you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been putting my hand kind of right here in all the books because these are all from my library. These are all from my local library. And now I do live in a big city, so we actually have lots of access to a lot of books. Your libraries may not have as many as mine, but you don't have to spend every penny on these books. And especially you don't need to go out and buy every book before you have a chance to read it. I much prefer to read the books before I buy them. The exception is I do own this book and I do own these books. And as you can tell by this one, like I use this a lot. It is well used. I've had this book for years. So the last herbal book I have is actually by National Geographic, and this is Nature's Best Recipes, Top Medicinal Herbs, Spices, and Food for Health and Well-Being. This goes beyond just herbs and spices. This also has food in it. So, you know, it's categorized by, instead of being by the herb, it's by the issue, I guess. So we have, you know, respiratory remedies, circulatory system, relief for joint pain, long-term joint health, headache relief. And then, where's the page I was just on? So this page talks all about probiotics. So that's not exactly herbs, but a lot of herbs and a lot of food can act as probiotics and prebiotics, which is really good for our overall health. We've got the endocrine system, and it's got, you know, different suggestions for what you can use here. Female reproductive health. So it's, you know, it's talking about chast tree, chaste. The berries can help relieve the symptoms of PMS. But then it's also got things like black cohosh. It's got maca root. It's got oats, blue cohosh, angelica. And so there's all sorts of different things. And I like that this is laid out differently instead of having to go through the herbs. I mean, most of these you can go into the back and you know, be like, okay, I need, what can we do here? So jaundice, page 78. And then you can go there and you can find it. Whereas some of them are more organized by the herbs. Like you saw, the Herbalist Bible was alphabetical by herbs. This is grouped by what you need the remedy for. So depending on how you want to work herbs into your life, that might be something you consider in the books that you get. So again, I really like this because it talks about, you know, the different sections, but then it also has, so we had, the beginning has the different sections, so this is healthy hair and nails. But then it does go into, where is it? Let's see. If we go further into the back of the book, there we go. Nature's Pharmacopoeia. It's like cornucopia, but it's pharmaceutical. It talks more about the herbs and using indoor herbs. So like there's burdock and calendula and chamomile and chevril, comfrey, clary sage, ginkgo. So it does have all the herbs in the back, but it has the combination as well. And this also has just so many wonderful resources in it. And then it also has things about, you know, melons, citrus fruit, banana and plantain, different kind of plantain though, coconut and pomegranates, tropical fruits. It's actually just a very great overall book. So this one, in combination with something like this, may be a very good resource if you're just getting into herbs and you want to incorporate them into all aspects of your life. But again, it all depends on what you want to use your herbs for. If you want to make things for your skin and around your home, this might be the book that you want. If you want to cook with it, then the Herbalist Kitchen might be what you want. Or if you want to go out and wildcraft, then a field guide like this might be what you want. So it's all about tailoring your books to what you want to do. If you do just want herbs for magical uses, don't forget to hit that subscribe button up because I have a whole stack of books for that as well. Next week, or the next time I do a book review, I'm going to be talking about books specifically for witchcraft. So I will see you in my next book review. Love, light, and happiness to all of you. Have a fantastic day. Bye.